one of you guys Google my net worth really quick? Just Google it.
Yeah, I'll Google it.
You got some homework.
Malik Wilson's net worth.
Here we go. Something's coming.
All right, guys, we're Googling. Let's put some music behind this.
Something's coming.
All right, Malik Wilson, net worth $1.5 million.
Okay. It differs between 1.5 and like 3 point.
Oh no, 3.5. The other one.
Three. Okay, so it differs between then. I've never seen $1 million in my life at all. You? That is me.
Oh, okay.
That's when I was like in high school or something.
So
I mean, I don't even know how. I mean, there's like a whole list of those where it's like between 1 and 3. A lot of people feel like we're just these rich people, and I'm like, I mean, in North Dakota, I was making below minimum wage. It's bad. It's like it's one of those though where in this career you have to take chump change to one day make a good amount of money, livable money. Whereas like you're taken care of, your family's taken care of. So I think that's a huge misconception. Everybody's like, oh, right, you make a lot of money. Like, no, I don't. No, I don't.
Hey, St. Louis. It's Marissa Farrell.
And I'm your other host, Luke Farrell. And here we're back again with another episode of the STL Bucket List Show. Recorded right here at Half Coast Studios. I got to shout my guy Matt in the back on the ones and twos, always producing a fire episode, not only for YouTube, but for clips on Instagram and also Spotify, Apple, and all the other ones as well.
All the other platforms.
And then our other presenting sponsors, the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis. They've been a great partner for us, not only to expose us to more arts in the city, but to allow us to do these podcasts each week for you guys, because everything we do is to promote St. Louis and the city that we're living in. So
absolutely.
But without further ado, we have a special guest today. You might be wondering why there's a football on set. We got, Mr. Malik Wilson in the studio today. I mean, come on, man. I mean, this guy, we met like right when you moved here.
Yeah.
And you've just been grinding, and I see you putting in the work. So thank you for coming on the show today.
No, I am honored. Listen, I feel like a fangirl right now.
I love it.
So we like to get right into it. We, everybody knows you're on Show Me St. Louis, but we want to know, with you being a former athlete, TV personality, like who really is Malik? Tell us about your background, where you're from, kind of growing up, what life was like for you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll keep it short. But Malik Wilson is from North Carolina, born and raised, a little city right outside of Raleigh, Mebane. Mebane is what some people call it. If you're ever in the area and outside of Raleigh, it's the Tanger Outlets exit. That's where I live. But grew up there, played collegiate football at North Carolina A&T State University, which is a HBCU, historically black college and university. From there, football kind of took me to the professional world. And so I played in the CFL, Canadian Football League, for a little bit, and then ended up getting hurt. And so I was like, oh, let's get on TV in another way, Right. And so I pursued this career that I'm in now.
That's awesome. So I kind of wanted to lead that into, so like I read some stuff on your website and other interviews you've done, but was being like famous always what you wanted to be, or was it being,
that's a good question.
Was it being
well known?
Was being well known, or was
Right.
it being influential, like having that power to change stuff? Like what was that thought behind that? Because I read something like you always wanted to help the community and use what you had. So just tell us a little
Right.
bit about it. If it was fame or if it was more the impact you could have from it.
I wouldn't say the fame aspect of it. Just more so, I've always felt like I had a personality where I could like glow up a room in a sense, I've always loved to make people laugh, make people, smile. I'm very far from a negative person. If there's an issue, like I'm thinking of like 10 ways to fix that issue and change people's mindsets. And so even as a kid, it was more so trying to make people laugh. It was like, whenever I go into the room, how can I make somebody giggle, make somebody's day? Whether I was singing or dancing or doing some like crazy face or noise, whatever it was. And that's honestly when I went to school, that's what I kind of dialed back on. With the whole football thing, I didn't start playing football until high school. Didn't care to play football. I was scared to be tackled, all that good stuff. It's a very violent sport.
Yeah.
And I've honestly maybe lost 10 pounds since I played. So I'm still little, And so with the whole football thing, it got me into school. And when I went to school, I was going in for sports science and fitness management or something like that. I heard sports in it. I was like, football, sports, got to be easy. I know sports, you know? And so from there, my mom was like, no, she's in the medical field, and she is a professor in the medical field. She was like, no, you're not going into that field. I know your personality. That's not you.
Yeah.
And so she was like, you really need to dial in on what it is that you want to do with your life. And so we kind of sat down, and journalism came up, and the thought of being on TV, radio was a way for me to use what I did as a kid, which was make people laugh, all of that good stuff, and, you know, put it on a platform. Mm-hmm. So the fame was never really, I don't care about the fame, but this is a platform where, and you guys know this, being, you know, doing what you guys do, there's a lot of eyes on you at all times. And so I feel like God has blessed us here on earth to use these platforms to, you know, motivate people, encourage people, whether you guys think it or not. People look up to you guys. People call you to come to events and stuff because you're influential in a sense. And so that's what makes me happy, to know that although we might not feel like we do enough, there's people who gravitate towards you, and you can use that for the better good of a lot of people.
Yeah,
so
what a good outlook. Yeah, very positive.
That's
outlook.
nice. And it's sometimes like we say this and just take a step back and like look at all the impact you have.
Right.
And I've said this in a lot of episodes, but like the Instagram follower thing or the YouTube subscriber thing, like you may not think 4,000 is a lot because there's a guy that's your same age that has 100,000.
Right.
That's doing the same stuff. You're kind of like, okay, what's he doing different? You're trying to pick up stuff, but like 4,000 people. That's probably how, I mean, I don't know how many people came to your guys' football games, but I mean, that's a lot of people. 4,000 can fit a pretty big stadium.
Right.
And that's a lot of people. So like looking at it on that scope, like 4,000 seems small when it's a number, but when you see it in actual real life, it's pretty big. So.
Especially when you come from nothing, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
100%.
Absolutely.
So when you decided you were going to focus on journalism, did you have any other experience? Like when you were in high school, did you take a newspaper class or anything like that?
You guys want to know how I got my first job?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So, I mean, we're 2 years removed from that now, and I even told them there what I did. So, high school, I had honestly, I didn't want to it's not that I didn't want to go to school. Mm-hmm. I wasn't thinking about school. Like I said, football really just navigated me. It was like God just saying, listen, you don't know what the heck you're doing. We're going to use this to guide you through life. So having experience in high school with radios, newspapers, none of that. Like I wasn't even thinking of any of that. In college, I had a little bit of experience. And that was, again, like I feel like God placed these angels here to be like, here, like, let's go to the radio station. And so one of my teachers, the last day of school, was like, hey, what are you doing over the summer? Just randomly picked me. I don't know why. I was still confused to this day why she picked me, but she was like, let's go to the radio station over the summertime since you'll be here for summer workouts. And we can get you some like working skills type of things and like help around to kind of, you know, get your skills up. At the time I was just like, oh, you know, it's cool. Like it is what it is. But now that I look back, I'm like, I learned some good stuff while there. And so, I mean, I've sidetracked with all of that, but no, I had no experience at all. I mean, family's not in it. This is kind of just day by day
in your lap. Wow.
Following the what I have right here in my face, you know, just learning it day by day.
Sure.
Yeah, and just figuring it out and just finding stuff that you're passionate about. But in order to do that, you have to try stuff.
Right.
You know? Right. And I'm glad that even your mom, that's powerful that she knew that you weren't going to be like most people in that situation, like want their kids to follow in that lead. Right. And she knew, she's like, this isn't for you.
And a lot of parents are like, especially when their kids are, you know, talented to go to school, Division I, especially like, oh, got the golden ticket. We're going to the league. Right. You know, and of course she had that thought in her mind, but I think even she knew like football was like something I didn't care about, you know? So she was like, all right, what's your backup plan? Because this is going to end someday. Yeah. You know, so
absolutely.
So I appreciate her for that.
Last week's episode. Mike Gibson over at Young Professionals Academy, he was an athlete too, and it came to a point where you just had to pick. And it's sad, but you can be around the game still. Like with your job, you can go interview these athletes and you can go to these high schools and try to like, because everybody thinks they're going to make it to the league, but in all reality, even if you do make it to the league, it's not a career for most people. Right,
exactly.
So let's talk a little bit, just to backtrack, about your experience at the HBCU and just what that was like, because I mean, I'm just interested in that. I'm curious what that was like for you to go there and the community and.
Yeah, for sure. And it's the reason why I laugh is because listen, don't listen to what I'm saying fully. I did not know what an HBCU was before I went to an HBCU.
Really?
I even committed to A&T and still had no clue.
You went on a visit.
I went on a visit and all that, but I mean, I was visiting schools all across the country, all that stuff, you know? But when I committed and signed the letter of intent, everybody was like, congratulations, like you're going to an HBCU, like that's huge. I'm like, yeah.
I'm going to school.
Going to school.
Yeah.
I'm like, even then, I mean, I went to school, and for athletes, like you go to school early, like you're there before everyone gets there. And so it was literally just football every day, nobody else on campus, you know, maybe some other athletes from other sports teams, basketball, they were starting to come in for summer, but it wasn't like the full HBCU experience. You know, teachers aren't there to teach you things, none of that. It wasn't really until school started that, you know, everybody was like, oh, you know, I love my HBCU, these chants and stuff. And I'm like, oh.
Like, this is fire.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, snap. Oh, this is HBCU, you know? And then that's when I started to do more history on it. I grew up in a predominantly white area. And so
that's a big part probably why you don't know.
You're a part of your environment. You know, that's not, I mean, why, you know, why?
I didn't know.
Why are we talking about an HBCU, you know? Like, you know, white is nothing to do with white, you know, white people. Exactly. Right. And that's the schools that they were going to, and, you know, schools I visited, but to hear an HBCU just wasn't a thing. And so I say it was a blessing for me to go there because it taught me a lot about myself, you know, my, you know, culture and all that stuff. So it opened a lot of doors for me.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
That's amazing. And then you mentioned faith like a lot. And I wanted to kind of dig deep on that. Like, so what role was faith always in your life? And what role has that played to, like, in every decision you make is based around faith, I'm sure, at this point?
I mean, I grew up in church, but, you know, it's one of those where a lot of people base their relationship with God on other people. Like, oh, I'm not a Christian because Christians are always stabbing me in my throat. You know, they say not to judge, but they're the quickest one to judge, which a lot of Christians are, you know, or whatever religion. I mean, a lot of, you know, whatever religion, people in general are judgy people. And when you truly like walk by faith and have a relationship with God, one of the first things you're taught is don't judge others, because judgment day is coming where all those people you judge plus what you've done is it's going to come back and bite you in the tail, you know? So it's more of those, it's more so, you know, learning things for yourself. So as a kid, I grew up in church, you know, learned a lot, still a lot that I don't know. And I'm not like some, you know, theologist or something like that. But it wasn't until I moved to North Dakota a couple of years ago where it was a church I was going to where he didn't even call himself a pastor. He was like, I'm a teacher. But his biggest thing was you have to know God for yourself. You can't base it off of how people treated you, how, you know, your life is going. Like, you have to truly find God for yourself. And so that's when I started to, you know, watch more sermons on my own and, you know, learn more about the Bible and things of that nature. Again, I'm no theologist. I don't know, you know, everything from top to bottom. But before then, I used to stress a lot and like couldn't sleep and, you know, thinking about what tomorrow is going to bring and am I going to get that, you know, promotion and whatnot. But ever since I fully like devoted my life to, you know, believing in God and having faith, I mean, I am at peace like every day, even when the most crappiest things happen, I'm at peace. And so I know that's not easy for a lot of people to say, but that's something that I take pride in.
Yeah, that's a really great way to put it. And then, you know, when you're at peace, the doors start to open themselves.
Right, because you're not thinking about it.
Yeah. And you're not like stressing over, okay, if I don't get this promotion, then I'm going to have to move or I'm going to have to take a step back in my career. And that's awesome. I love that you mentioned that, like how God led you to football, even though football wasn't what you were passionate about, but that what's got you to the HBCU, which changed your life. And then North Dakota got you here to St. Louis. Like, it's so crazy to put all these correlations together. And it's just, life is just so awesome.
It really is.
That's what I love about the podcast is we just get to talk to people and everybody has a unique story of how they got here. But I want to talk about football a little bit more because, you know, you played football at some of the highest levels. You know, the CFL is a big level, but D1 football is a whole different animal. I mean, if you could just pick one moment of like your favorite moment in your football career, it could be before college, but like, is there a specific moment that you hold on to that was like an amazing feeling? Like you left the game feeling incredible.
My whole senior year of college, honestly. Before I went into my senior year, a lot of people don't know, but I was like on the fence of like not even playing anymore because I was like, I mean, at this point, I don't care to play. I wasn't the best of players. I mean, but I was more of like a situational player here and there.
Special teams guy.
Special teams, offensive packages where they needed like speedy people. And so that was up until my junior year. And a lot of it I did to myself, dropping passes, little things. But after my junior year, I was like, I'm going to really focus on, broadcasting, getting on TV. Because before then, I mean, I had the radio gig that I was doing, a couple of internships that I, applied for and did. But I was like, I need to do more. This is my senior year. At the end of this year, like this is when recruiters are going to start asking people, judgment day, like, right. What have you been doing? Oh, it's cool that you play football, but what have you been doing to, get yourself to the next level for broadcasting? And so I was about to quit. But of course, football was paying the bills. So it was like, is this really what I want to call my parents and tell them, I'm not going to do this anymore. So I told myself, like, if the beginning of the season isn't what, I expect it to be or whatever, then I'm really just out of here. And so with that mindset, I was just like kind of like an effort mentality. Like, I'm just going to
go out there
and do whatever the heck I want to do. And so I think that is what helped me, because I was an All-American my senior year, but I think I just went into it so nonchalant to where it was like, just not thinking, not, causing errors or anything, and just playing freely. So my whole senior year was like you
balled out. Yeah, I've seen a couple clips.
Yeah.
I think a kick return touchdown I watched earlier.
Yeah, I broke the NCAA record. It was a bunch of records that I broke. It was just a phenomenal year. It was crazy.
Yeah. Did you think you were gonna go to the NFL, or you just kind of knew that?
No. Even then, I mean, this is how nonchalant it was. I didn't even know how good I was doing until like ESPN was coming to campus, pulling me out of class, radio stations, TV stations, pulling me out of class. I mean, there was a point in my senior year where, at least for a month and a half, I was in class maybe a couple of times because I was like doing so many interviews and stuff. To me, I didn't care about the football aspect. I was like, oh, wow, like this is the job I wanted to, this is what I want to do daily. And so it was kind of, I mean, I was asking them questions on the side, like, oh, or, like, what, like, how is it? This is cool. And there's even like a little mini story with ESPN that I could tell, but yeah, it was definitely I think after a while, I got the thought of, NFL and CFL. It was like, this might be an actual possibility.
Right. And you see a lot more athletes like going more towards multimedia. Like,
right.
Like every athlete has a podcast now.
And
they're so popular.
What people don't know, and again, my mom is my momager. I swear she is. She's like,
she's gonna be listening.
She's like 10 steps ahead when we're still in, and she helps me do that now. But she's always 10 steps ahead. Like, while you're having fun in the moment now, it's almost like a Debbie Downer, because it's like, she brings the reality back to.
She's a realist.
A realist, right? But you need that though in your corner.
That's right.
That's
right.
I'm dreaming.
He's dreaming.
I'm over here dreaming.
I'm the realist.
You are too, though.
Right. Exactly.
She's like, well, that's not really realistic.
That's not realistic, but it can be realistic if you think about what you need to do 10 days from now or whatever. Right. And so she was huge in that. But what people don't know is, in the NFL, they have a broadcasting school that you can, apply for and go into. And people are always like, how are these? And I'm sure the NBA and all these other major outlets have them. They're like, how do these people get these jobs so quick? Despite how much you know about sports, there's still ethics that you have to follow within the, world of media. And so my mom was like, oh, if you go to the NFL, like, you can play a couple of years, and boom, here's this media school you can do while you're in there. By the time you get out, you got your NFL money, which is amazing. Right. But then you can continue what you really want to do. And so kudos to her. I mean, we didn't get that far, but, we got there in another way.
Yeah, that's right.
No, that's awesome.
How cool, though, that you were in school getting pulled out for all these interviews, and now you're on the other side.
Right.
So
a lot of the people that interviewed me now were like, cool, like we're friends now. So
really,
crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. to connect with them and like always in the back of your mind, like pulling them away, like, hey, I want to actually do what you're doing. Like, thanks for coming here. But that helps, you know, like and I'm glad you played that last season out because you just don't know where your life would have been if you, that season probably propelled you and to give you confidence for the rest of your life because you're like, if I can do that, you know, on the D1 level, like you said, those guys are big.
Boy, what? Holy cow. Got 16-year-olds that are 6'5", 280 pounds.
Right.
They run a 4.2.
Insane.
So now you're in St. Louis. So of course this is the St. Louis Bucket List show. We talk about St. Louis, but just tell us, you know, how has the community kind of got behind you and like, just how did you navigate your way to this market? Like, what made you come to St. Louis in the first place?
Again, another story I'll keep short. But North Dakota was my first job that I landed. And I was doing general assignment news, which is like your hardcore news. And when I was there, that's when COVID first broke out. So it's a lot of COVID coverage and everyday numbers increasing, people dying. And that's what you do on a daily basis. Think of news, and this is the best way to think of it. So think of hard news as like you have an assignment, you know, you're in school and your teacher gives you an essay to write, and then you have to present that essay, you know, in 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, it could be the hardest essay that you've ever done, but that is daily. And like every day at 9 o'clock, you're having this editorial meeting with, you know, everybody in the department, in the studio, and it's either like, yes, we'll let you do your essay, or no, we're not going to let you do your essay. Find something else before the shows start. And you still have to get interviews and all that stuff. That's every day.
Oh. And you were staying up late to do it.
Oh man,
that sounds
it was
terrible.
like
just to rip it up.
Yeah, it was like I mean, you could have these elaborate because you have to one, have a story, and two, your voice is your voices are, you know, your people you're interviewing. So if you call the mayor and the mayor's like, oh, I can't have an interview until next week. Like what? Like, no, I need an interview now within the next couple of minutes. And so it's so many variables. So I was so happy to get out of that. But that was just something I prayed about and was like, I want to get into entertainment news and get out of like this day-to-day turn, and it's just stressful. And so I was applying to different entertainment shows across the country. I was flying to different places doing not rehearsals, but what do you call it? Interviews, but what do you call it? Jesus, lost Bob. Dang it. I can't think of it. Auditions. Yeah. Doing auditions. Yeah. Definitely auditions. That's Jesus.
Been a long day.
Long day.
Been a long day.
But yeah, it was doing auditions, failing out of them horribly because I had never done it before. But out of nowhere, my producer now reached out, and the old host, Dana Dean, I reached out and was like, hey, I'm not sure if you're into entertainment news at all, but we got a job for you if you want, you know. I'm like, I don't know where the heck y'all found me, but yes, where do I sign the dotted line?
Wow.
And lo and behold, I got here.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then when you got to St. Louis, had you ever been here before? Or then maybe because there's no football here, like you might have been.
Oh, wow.
Never.
There's no like D1 college. I mean,
I'll be honest. When they were like St. Louis, I was like, oh, so the way the media world works is it's broken down into what is called a DMA. And what the DMA is, it's like a ranking system. It's like 1 to, I think, like 205. And so New York City is number 1, Los Angeles is number 2, Chicago number 3, and so on and so forth. So you get a grasp of where I'm going. North Dakota was like 140, 150 out of like 200. So when they reached out about St. Louis, I was like, oh man, it's like St. Louis has got to be like market 150 or so, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, nobody. And being from the East Coast, you don't think about the Midwest a lot.
Right.
Barely. I mean, Chicago is cool, but you got New York City, so Chicago really isn't something that we think about either. So yeah, they've been to St. Louis. I was like, oh God, this is about to be another, like, not terrible experience, but just a place where I know I'm not going to stay.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I did my research really quick and found out that St. Louis is number 20. It's the top 20 market. And I was like, holy cow, like top 20 and something I've never done.
That's
like,
cool to know.
This is like, I'm like, this is a very competitive market. A lot of people would die to be here. So yeah, it went from not knowing where the heck I was going to like, oh yeah, like where do I sign?
Yes.
This is a great opportunity. And since I've been here, it's been amazing.
Yep.
So how long have you been here now?
A year and some change. July was a year.
Okay. And so from the point of them reaching out to when you actually got here, how fast was that for you?
Oh, that was a long process.
Oh.
That was a long process. Pretty much, it was other stations that wanted me for news, hard news, like general assignment news, anchoring, and it took here so long to where I almost signed another contract because it was like getting close to like a deadline that they wanted, and they were paying me a good amount.
Sure.
But it was like that itching thing inside of me that was like, I don't want to do news. Like, don't sell yourself out, for the money. Like, just hold off. And so the day that I was my life is so weird. The day I was supposed to sign the contract, it was a job in Florida that they wanted me to anchor for weekdays. The day I was supposed to sign that contract, my manager called and was like, hey, like, it's a done deal. Like, this took like maybe a month and a half. Hey, it's a done deal. Like, we want to bring you in. Like, we're going to email you the contract and everything. And I was like, thank you, God. Because it was like,
you got to do what you got to do.
I got to do what I got to do. Right.
You're young. You're like, I got to make a living.
I got to make a living. And, this other place is persistent.
Yeah.
But
they want me.
Right.
Like, this place isn't calling me back.
Right. So I was like, it was like my manager would call me like once a week to check in, like, hey, how are you doing? And at this point, like I said, I've been traveling all around, like across the country, people selling you dreams and stuff. So I thought he was maybe like holding on to me because there was like somebody else that they really wanted, because I wasn't feeling like I was up to par. I'm like I'm some random,
right.
They saw something and, I feel like I've, done them good, but I don't know. It was a stressful time.
Okay.
It was a stressful time. Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Yeah. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. What's next?
Okay. I was waiting for you.
No,
so
I'm looking.
we're all basically the same age. We were just talking about this earlier, how we're all 26 and about to be 27. So I wanted to talk more about goals because like you said, you have these big aspirations and big goals, and like, St. Louis as a top 20, like you probably want to be top 1. If you're like anybody, you want it all. So tell us about, just some pipe dream goals. Like if you could work on any show or any set, doesn't matter who's there now. It doesn't matter if it's Steve Harvey and Family Feud. It doesn't matter who it is. Like if you could take anybody's job right now, I'm sure you've thought about it, but what would be that dream job for you?
I would love to do game shows and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't like to limit myself on, those types of things. I feel like people are drifting away from TV these days. So it's like to have your own like sit down talk show or something. I feel like, I just don't know how much of a reality that is.
Yeah.
I would love that.
What, like a red table talk kind of thing?
Yeah, or like an Ellen show,
a little more,
right?
Yeah,
right. But
poppy.
I love the Ellen show and the Oprah Winfrey show because it's like, again, it goes back to using their platform to bless people.
Feel good,
right?
Always, every time I watch, I love Ellen.
It's amazing,
Ellen.
Right?
Yeah, you just laugh. You feel so good.
Right.
You feel connected to her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she, I witnessed her firsthand. Bless a kid that I went to high school with. He was this amazing voice actor. I think he was maybe 15. She called the high school and was like, hey, we're looking for Jake Fushi. And everybody thought it was a prank call. Because it's like, why is Ellen calling the school? This has got to be a prank call. Right. But within a couple of weeks, she flew him out to LA, gave him a contract, $1 million contract. Kid's life changed forever. And it's like, that's the types of things I want to do. It's not about the money. It's about like seeing somebody else, like their day just change.
Yeah.
Like that is
give an open opportunity.
And just having the resources to write a $50,000 check, even like a $10,000 check that changes.
Even that
life.
Is amazing,
And just be able to bring it up and have your guests had. And like you said, every day is fun for them.
Right.
Because they're not like, she never talks about who passed away or what shooting just happened or what.
Exactly. And they mentioned,
there's people for that.
It's like worldly news, if Queen Elizabeth was to die, during their show, they, you probably like, oh, Queen Elizabeth just died, let's pay our condolences. But it's not based around death, murder, COVID,
Right.
It's more so like, let's be the light during these times,
right?
So
absolutely.
that is an amazing experience.
So let's talk about some misconceptions of your career.
Okay.
Not to turn it into a negative, negative.
I know the number one question. Go ahead.
I would say just negative misconceptions and then why that's not true. And especially since you're such a positive person, this is expectation versus reality. Let's call
for
it.
Sure. Okay, yeah, this is fun. I want to, go for it.
Do you have any that?
Quite a bit.
What do you think?
So misconception, what do people say? On the outside, misconception.
Working
about
in entertainment and in the news industry, what are people's thoughts are just so far left field?
Can one of you guys Google my net worth really quick? Just Google it.
Yeah, I'll Google it.
We got some homework.
Malik Wilson's net worth.
Here we go. Something's coming.
All right, guys, we're Googling. Let's put some music behind this. All right, Malik Wilson, net worth $1.5 million.
Okay. It differs between 1.5 and 3 point.
Oh, no, 3.5. The other one said
3. Okay, so it differs between then. I've never seen $1 million in my life at all.
You?
That is me.
Oh, okay.
That's when I was in high school or something.
So
I don't even know how. I mean, there's a whole list of those where it's between 1 and 3. A lot of people feel like we're just these rich people, and I'm in North Dakota, I was making below minimum wage. It's bad. It's it's one of those though where in this career you have to take chump change to one day make a good amount of money, livable money. Where it's you're taken care of, your family's taken care of. So I think that's a huge misconception. Everybody's right, you make a lot of money. No, I don't. No, I don't.
I think it's a big gap. I think it's almost the top 1% make great money, but then all the other 99% are all fighting to get the opportunity at that.
And when a lot of your friends are coming out of college, they're making 75. I think my friend coming out of school, he made 85,000. Now he's making 6 figures, 7 figures.
That's crazy.
And I'm this is a guy I grew up with. I'm send me a couple thousand, man. He just bought a home in Washington, D.C. He's making money,
People see you on TV and they're like, oh, he's balling out.
They're he's got to be making, 6, 7 figures. Donate to this. I want to, but I'm I got to donate to the bills. I got stuff I got to take care of.
Take care of me.
For sure.
Exactly.
So I think that's, for me, a number one thing. Other things, bad media, that type of thing, all that stuff. People love to dive into that heavy, but we're entertainment news. We can't be negative, man.
That's right.
And you guys do a great job over there. But I'm reading this article still right now after we looked up your net worth. So it says, I'm just gonna read it for you guys. So Malik Wilson was born in North Carolina, well known as Coach Goat on several social media sites,
I can
including Instagram, Twitter, and Vine. That's how I know you're our age, because Vine was popular back in high school.
Jesus,
before there was TikTok, there was Vine.
He's a member of Instagram Star, so you are a social media star, bro.
So again, I don't even know where these
they get
things,
this stuff.
I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
this is crazy.
Exactly.
It's the Coach Goat thing. That's so now people, my close friends call me Goat. It sounds cocky as all get out. Do you know what GOAT means?
Yeah, greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time, right? So just like I didn't know what an HBCU was, I didn't know what GOAT meant. Yeah. I didn't know GOAT was greatest of
term too.
Right.
Yeah.
And so in high school when I was playing football, we used to have these 7-on-7 games. 7-on-7 is
offense,
right, just without the front, no linemen. This was our summer workouts. We used to travel to different schools throughout the summer. So one of the schools that we played, this guy had GOAT on the back of his, it wasn't a jersey. We had these what do you call it? The Nike, they're Nike.
The dry fit.
Yeah, the dry fit. He had GOAT on the back of it, custom made. So I'm what the heck is GOAT? He was good, but I'm what the heck is GOAT? That's a cool family name, to have GOAT on the back of your jersey. And so everybody was smacking me in the head, bro, what are you talking about? That's not, you don't know what GOAT means? I'm no. They're greatest of all time. I was what?
Yeah.
It's if that's not the cockiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Put on the back of your
I'm about to ball out on this guy.
Bro,
right
they have teamed, this is everybody, everybody has their jersey with their name on the back, and his says GOAT.
That's
so
crazy.
I'm that's the fact that the coach even let you do that was
right.
And again, he was the star player of their team. But I'm like, since then, they called me GOAT. And the coach part came. I wasn't playing that day. I had messed up my hamstring that day. And I had not a fedora, but like a safari type hat to keep the sun out of your face. And they said I was like the receiver coach at the time. And so it was Coach GOAT. It was just like a running joke. Yeah. When I got to college, they dropped off the coach and just kept the GOAT part.
You're just GOAT now.
Yeah.
Could be a worse.
You're still
That's
GOAT.
a pretty good nickname.
So now people who call me GOAT, they don't know why they're calling me GOAT. They just
call you GOAT.
Your friends come to visit you at school and you got GOAT, you know?
So that used to be like your handle and stuff back in the day, like Coach
Yeah,
GOAT.
it was Coach GOAT. Coach GOAT 6. Yep.
Yeah. That's funny. Oh my gosh.
That's funny, man. That's funny.
So
That's
what
cringy.
are some of your highlights in your career? Like what's a highlight? You guys.
We'll name the episode Coach GOAT.
Coach GOAT.
All this stuff you've been talking about, and that's the only thing I can't get over it.
That's
Coach
We're gonna
GOAT.
screenshot this. I'm gonna post this in my story.
This is Coach
I'm gonna be like,
GOAT.
Malik Wilson, 3.5 net worth. You're like, please show me some of that.
Put that in the show
Please,
notes.
let me.
Malik
Listen,
Wilson,
they just
the
come up
GOAT.
with shit. Or
They just come up. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And there's, like I said, there. I mean, you can back out of that, and there's like a whole list of websites of they just copy and paste the same
Keep
thing.
going. Yeah.
It's just clickbaity stuff.
It's clickbait.
So sorry for cutting you off.
That's
Carissa.
okay.
I know you were.
No, it's okay. I just was focusing on some of the highlights of your career and just what brings you the most joy and you know things like that with the energy that you're exuding positivity, and so like what shed some of that positivity.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's really a simple formula. Honestly, like I said, I honestly give everything to God. Like on days that I'm stressing or, you know, anything. I mean, I honestly just say, I'm here for a reason. You know, just give it to God, and you know, things will be at peace. Of course, you have to do the groundwork, but it's like, you know, you can only do so much as a human.
Yeah.
So just give it to Him, and every day that we're alive, you know, it's another day to tackle your dreams and goals.
That's right.
And get your life back right if you're you know down a bad pit or something. So
yeah, everybody's got a chance.
Yeah,
that's right.
So what keeps you is that kind of leading into what keeps you motivated? Would you
for
say
sure.
that does, and like the bigger mission, and it's bigger than yourself. It's not just like, oh, how many shows can I get on, or what's the biggest show?
And it's more so a surprise. Like I said, I mean, every day I wake up, I thank God. I'm like, oh wow, I'm here again. Like it's just another day to achieve something or do something positive, and I don't know, you know.
So what's your support system like? I mean, you talked a lot about your mom. Obviously, she's the best, but just in general, like especially now that you're here in St. Louis, like who do you call? Like who's just your biggest cheerleader?
For sure, yeah, definitely my family, my parents, my grandma, both my grandmas, my granddad. I mean, my immediate family, they're all there. Here, I mean, honestly, you guys. I mean, you guys are in North Dakota. There's not a lot of us. Like, well, I wasn't saying it in this. There's not a lot of black people there, but I wasn't saying it in that sense. I was saying it. There's not a lot of us younger crowd there.
Like movers and shakers, people that are spicing stuff up, events, fun
exactly
things going on, yeah.
And I tell people moving here to St. Louis was like so refreshing because it's like if you guys aren't putting on something, someone else is, or you know, somebody. It's always something going on, and it's a bunch of like millennials and even younger people, and you know, 35, like they're there. You know, it's like everybody is on the same mission of, and that's another thing I like too. It's not competitive. It's like everybody's on the same mission of like, let's help each other grow.
Right.
And so that's been so positive to when I moved to the city, I was like, oh, I'm going to be lonely. It's going to be competitive. Everybody's going to be on some like douchebag mindset. And I'm good on that. I'm like, whatever you're supposed to get, you're supposed to get it. Yeah. As long as you're doing the groundwork again, don't think you can just sit at home and not doing anything. But as long as you stay in your lane, it can happen. But, you know, you guys are helpful. Everybody is helpful, you know. And so we're all on the same mission of trying to uplift and do that type of thing.
I noticed I noticed that everybody does work together. There's a lot of collaboration, and then especially when you moved here, like how I met you through Elizabeth, and Elizabeth's feeding you leads, and like helping you get your feet. Because
she's been huge, yeah,
and at the end of the day, it helps her too, and it helps our client. Like it helps everybody.
Everything is and that's a mindset you have to have too in this world of business. How can, and I'm always thinking that way, and maybe it's just me, but it's like, what is the other person gaining from this? You know, It's like, what am I gaining from this, and what are they gaining from this? And so that's just something I always just think of, and it's I don't know, just makes it makes different. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's what it's a gaining.
You have to give. You have to give to receive. You have to be open. And the more that you give, and even if it never comes back equally, like it's always going to make its way there. And how many people you can help. I say this all the time. Like, start thinking of your life as how many people I can help, not how many dollars I can make.
And that's another thing I want to hit on too. Yeah. I hate when people say, like say you gave $5 to someone and they went and spent it on drugs. I'm like, that has nothing to do with you. As long as you gave, like what the people do with whatever is up to them. And so I say that.
As long as you give.
Right. You see people, social media can be so toxic. People talk about, like, oh, I'll never give again. Like, why? Because one person pissed you off, like.
You got burnt once.
You got burnt once, twice, 3 times. Like, you keep, I can, it's probably more times than not that I can count, that I can say that I've been burnt or, stepped over in whatever way. But I don't know, I just keep, because that's just the person that I am. Like, it's benefiting me more than what the person did that hurt me, did. So, that's something else I wanted to put out there.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, absolutely. I love that because, we take L's on a regular basis. Like I just recently took some L's in business and in life, but like I don't talk about them because for one, like nobody wants to hear, like everybody, but then also it's like the more that I talk about them, the more that you think about it.
Your focus, keep it moving.
Just keep it pushing. Like you turn the L into lessons. What's that? Chance the Rapper song?
I don't know.
We got to sing a little bit. We got to be a little funny. We got real serious there. We gotta
Lighten it up. All right, let's.
We can sing some songs if you guys want to.
Hey, you talked about it. We've had performers on here. We had Malik was on here. We had Brian Owens sang some songs on here. Nice. We had a freestyle. I freestyle rapped on that one episode. Twice.
Let's get a freestyle.
Twice, I think. No.
We get a beat going over here.
Put 'em on.
We have. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to, wrap it up with St. Louis Bucket List. I mean, it is.
Now you've been here for a while.
Yeah.
So it's the bucket list show.
So what are your favorite spots? Like, what's your favorite restaurant? Man. What's your favorite kind of food?
Name us a few bucket list spots that if somebody came in town, like your parents, you'd be like, all right, we're going here, or maybe a homie comes in, or whatever.
Or like even like food, drink.
My favorite spots to visit are STL Bucket List on Instagram and date ideas and things to do on Facebook. Listen, guys, that question comes up so much because of the job that I do. Yeah. They're like, my frat brother just texted me the other day. Was like, hey, Malik, I know you've been here a while. Like, what's the go-to places? It's just a blank look that I'm like, I don't know.
You're just like, here.
There's so many places. I'm like, listen, go to these websites and you can find whatever you're looking for because.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
For sure. For sure. So
it's a resource. That's all it is a resource. But, like bucket list spots around St. Louis, like, are there like a park that you like to go to or like a certain place?
Oh, yeah. I love outdoors. Yeah. And I'm really big in like the aquarium hobby. Mm-hmm. Like I like reptiles, fish, and all that stuff. That's what keeps me in the house, honestly. Yeah. But I went to Forest Park the other day. Hopefully Forest Park doesn't hear this, but I was going to look for some like rocks and stuff. That stuff is expensive in pet stores. Like a little rock like this big is like $40, it's ridiculous. So I love outdoors. I love natural, nature and all that stuff. So Forest Park is a beautiful thing to have here.
It is. We were just there Saturday.
Oh wow, I was there Saturday.
Really?
What time did you guys go?
Okay.
We were on Art Hill.
We were there for like almost all day. We were there because.
Did you see the balloons? Were you there watching the balloons, or you were there on a hunt?
Oh wait, that was Saturday. I think I went Sunday.
Yeah.
It was Saturday, right? Yeah, Saturday.
Sunday would have been, yes. Yeah, yesterday.
I was busy. It was Sunday. Yeah. You said you would be. I'm just out, like everybody out there enjoying the balloons.
You're out there hunting.
I'm in there with the black hoodie. Like,
Forest Park sends you a message when they hear this next week. They're like, yo.
No, I didn't take anything.
They make a post. They're like, the rocks are not.
It's free game out there in some places. They put signs up where you can't touch stuff. Yeah. But
that's cool that you go. So like, and you said reptiles and stuff like that. So what do you think of the St. Louis Zoo and like all that? Like as far as like their
St. Louis has, in the reptile world, they have some amazing options here. Illinois as well, fish as well. But yeah, they. The aquarium is really nice. I tell people that's like top 5 that I've been to. And I've been to Atlanta. I mean, I've been to some big places.
Yeah.
And I want people to know when I tell them this, like, I'm not one of those who's like gassing just because I'm in your face. Like, this is serious stuff. I actually had an argument with somebody Saturday night. We were at Bar Italia in Central West End. Amazing place. And the guy was like spilling off all the places he had took his friend because she was in to visit. It's like, y'all didn't go to the aquarium? He was like, oh no, I don't like it. So what? It's like, he was like, what do you like? I was like, like, I love the fact that it's interactive. You know, the fish, you can put your hands in there.
Yeah, that's always.
I think the biggest thing is people said it was smaller,
but it's like shorter. It's small, but the amount of stuff that you can do within that small. I mean, like the second floor out in the open.
Yeah, you can like.
It's awesome.
Like they got the animals out there that you can pet. Yeah. You know, the reptile room. If you can get back there, that's cool.
Yeah, the kids love that upstairs.
Right. So
yeah, it's a great place to take your kids for sure.
But I did hear that. I think the only thing is people just kind of go through it so fast, and like they're expecting, like when you watch movies, like these big, big sharks and whatever that are in there. So like you can attest because you've been to all these other places.
Exactly.
So that's one of your things when you travel. You're like, I'm gonna hit up the aquarium.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
that's cool, man. I didn't even know that about you. That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
That's awesome. So going off the last question, when I had mentioned like if you could do any show in the world, I like to ask this to people, and I should have sent this to you to prepare for it, but you can take a couple minutes to think about it. But if you could just have lunch with somebody, just to pick their brain, anyone in the world, dead or alive, anybody in history that you could just like, I want to learn, I want like an hour with you. You can have, happy hour, lunch, coffee, whatever your preferred meeting is, but like, who do you think that would be? And then, you just kind of tell us why, because it's kind of interesting to hear who people say, because everybody has different.
Right. I'm not going to be one of those people who is like very studious. Like, I want to sit down with Martin Luther King, Yeah.
Barack Obama.
Oh, that would be cool. Barack Obama would be cool.
Yeah.
But there's a guy by the name of Terrence J. I don't know if you guys have heard of him before. Did you guys ever watch 106 in Park when you were younger?
I did not.
I did a little bit. Yeah, I know.
I know it, but I did not watch. No.
So 106 in Park was a really good show back in the day. For those who don't know, on BET. But one of the hosts of that show, his name is Terrence J. And we actually went to the same school. His like career, and for the longest, I didn't follow him. Right? Like I didn't, but like just looking at what he does, has been very influential. I mean, it's like drop for drop, like just seeing what he's doing now and kind of where he came from. I'm like, wow, we have kind of like this, similar story. So I would love to sit down with him, pick his brain, get some mentorship from him. I don't spam people's messages a lot, but I've spammed his a couple of times. Like, hey, bro, like, hey,
and that's cool.
Shoot your shot in the DMs
with them. It's not just like a fan. You're like, we grew up in the same place.
Right, but it's like he hasn't responded yet, so it's still sitting there.
We'll tag him too.
Call him out.
Yeah. Please tag him.
Be like, yo, clip up and be like, what's the word, bro?
Listen,
we shouted you out on the podcast.
Exactly.
Come on, Terrence.
Come on, man.
Then we have to do that for Snoop Dogg too.
Yeah, for Flipstick.
Oh, Snoop would be cool.
Akeem like wanted Flipstick to
get
Apparently he DM'd
trying
him.
to get Snoop.
He DM'd him. Was like,
so I heard Snoop Dogg did DM him.
Yeah,
that is dope.
Because he saw him at a party and like he waved the Flipstick at him and he's like, who's this dude with the flip? Bring it over here.
Wow.
And then he remembered it and he DM'd him. But then he's like, hey, he was like, yo, I'm trying to like work with you. And he's like, all right, call me like immediately, like with his number, and he never called him yet. So it's just
what? Come on. I mean, that's one of those I would be like, okay, I'm gonna give it a couple of days. It's like when you get the your next wife or something or next husband or whatever. And, you get that number and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna just give it a couple of days, just to, so I don't seem pressed. I am pressed, but
but sometimes sometimes you want that. You want to.
Yeah, I'm like, and I
like that.
You get to the part. I'm in the mindset now where I'm like, I don't care if I'm embarrassing. Like, I'm
gonna figure out if this is gonna work.
If it's gonna work, if it's gonna work, it's gonna work. If not, then it's not gonna work. So
shoot your shot, people.
Go
ahead and send that second message.
Heck yeah. And I gotta tell you guys this. So me and my ex, she actually found me through you guys.
Really?
Yep. I think the first time we met, I think you had posted a picture or like the behind the scenes or something.
Were
we of the interview. Yep.
Yeah.
And we were in
We're at Spark.
Spark.
It
yep.
was.
But weren't we met up with that guy and we were doing that training?
This was way before that.
Okay,
this was before that.
Okay.
The interview was before we met before that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The interview. because we were in that big suite room, and then I posted like a picture and tagged you or something, or we like, yeah.
So I think that second time was, so the first time I think she spotted me, and then the second time is when she actually reached out because it was around my birthday or whatever. But yeah, I'm like, I always asked her, I was like, how'd you find me?
Yeah.
She shot her shot on you.
Yeah, essentially.
How you doing?
It was one of those where it was
been
like
a long time.
Right.
Hope all is well.
It was one of those though where I say like, you know, that embarrassing like, oh, I don't want to. I'm gonna give it a couple of days because she had followed me.
Right.
I was like, dang, she looks good, you know. And then a couple of days went by, and yeah, I think either you had posted that second picture where we were doing the dots and all that, the Mon thing. Somewhere in there, it was on my birthday.
Like,
I know that though. Yep. And she had reached out, and I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, because I thought I was going to have to do it, you know?
Look at us playing a part. I mean, that's your ex.
Matchmakers, man.
Yeah,
STL matchmakers. STL bucket list matchmakers.
That's our next job.
No, we'll leave that for Date Does. They got that. They got that realm covered. They got that. They're like matchmaking and setting up blind dates and stuff. I'm like, we'll just stick to posting events.
Right.
You know, but no, that's cool. And I appreciate the kind words of you, you know, seeing the value in us. And it's cool.
For sure.
Having
you guys are doing amazing.
Having somebody that's on TV and I explained, because I'm on the radio too with Y98 sometimes, and like they see the value in social media. That's why they're asking us to come on the radio, and finding ways to collaborate is, you have to. That's why you guys are doing dances and TikToks.
Right.
You never thought. I mean, but like your producers are like, what are you talking? Like, that's not getting us ratings. You're like, yeah, that, I mean,
no, I tell them all the time, and they understand it, of the way you get more viewers, especially on local television and TV in general, is people have to, one, relate to you, and two, they have to know you in a sense, you know, like being out. And that's why I say this is like a full-time job. It's fun, but it's full-time because, you know, if you're not out in the community, you know, going to different events, you know, invite or not, letting people see you, then people don't care to watch. You know, they're like, I don't know him.
Right.
So I'm sure, and not saying you guys watch or anything, but it's like you guys are more inclined to watch, you know, one, because you're on the show, but two, because you're like, oh, I know Malik. Like that's my dog, you know?
Like, I tell my parent, like, you know, I'll just see it, oh, like, I know Malik.
Like, yeah, I know him.
Now.
And then
like,
to
I'll
your
stop
parents,
and actually pay attention to
right, to your parents are like, no, you don't, you know, because they're like, but it's like, no, he's just a regular person. You know, I tell people, I know the people behind STL Bucket List. Right. They're like, really? Like, I'm like, yeah, you know, but it's like, it's like a family. It's like, right. And so it's you're more inclined to watch.
Musicians, like I have people that make music and rappers and stuff. And I'm like, I want to like go see them because I know them.
Exactly.
And I can like go talk to them and dap them up.
It's more personable, you know, it's more, you're not just watching some random. Now with Ellen and them, I'm like, it's personal because you're like, oh, like she's doing such a great thing.
Right.
And it's like she's on that pedestal of like, oh, I'll never meet her in my life, but I love watching her, you know.
That's how it was when I met LeBron. I didn't meet LeBron, but I like really close to him.
And that's the cool thing about live events as well, because it's like, you know, you
feel like
I've been watching this guy my whole life.
You go to a concert and you're like, I'm in the same space.
Am I the only one that thinks that? Like
I do it every time.
I'm breathing the air.
I do it every time, like a weirdo. I'm like, I'm right there.
Even if we're all the way up in the
same space.
I could do some nutty stuff. Like went to the Chris Brown concert. I mean, Chris Brown's cool. I'm not a fan, but was there, and it's like I could really do something nutty right now and just be like, oh, I'm gonna risk it all and just run up there and just like touch his garment, you know, like because he's here, you know. I can risk it all and do that because he's here in the flesh, as opposed to just seeing it or hearing it. So
different. And then like especially when you leave a concert. And then you hear the songs.
Right.
It's so much better. It's so much better because you're like, I was there.
And not even with music. I mean, it can be anything. I mean, Mario. Yeah. You guys know Mario. Met him in person. I mean, we were like, got pictures, everything, like did an interview with him. Wow. And after that, I was inclined, like it was just like, oh, I want to listen to his music. On the way home, I'm just listening to his music. Yeah. And it just like meant more because I'm like you hear every vocal in a different way. You're like, I just talk to this person normally.
You see it, you hear it. It's just
and the smells and everything. It's like so much more to being with people in person. Yeah. And so
that's why I love that live events are back, and we're starting to feel that with the podcast. Like this is going to be episode 31. Granted, 31's not that many, but 31 different people.
31's a lot.
Yeah, 31 different people. Like one's like Clementine's Ice Cream. Every time we go there, I just think of the episode we had.
Right.
Think of that,
Exactly.
yeah.
Four Hands Brewery.
Totally.
Joe Edwards at the Loop, Blueberry Hill. Like if we're at Blueberry Hill, we're like, we literally interviewed this guy that's been
The guy who owns all of this, he was here across,
Right.
you know, I'm sitting in the seat, you know.
Right.
And you probably feel the same way with your
Right.
Joe sat here. What in the
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Joe is a
Maxine
legend.
Clark just sat there, and she was the owner
Nice.
of Build-A-Bear. She founded Build-A-Bear
She's from here?
right here in St. Louis. Well, she's
not
from
from
Florida, but she
here?
founded
Oh.
Build-A-Bear in St. Louis. Like the first Build-A-Bear was here because she moved here.
St. Louis has a lot of
Founders.
weird
Iconic.
things that you don't think about. And,
Yeah.
and then when people say it, you're like, wait, what? That was
Like
here?
Tums. We just found out like Tums is here, founded here in
Right.
downtown.
Yeah.
Like, all
The
these
wing ding?
Purina,
Like,
The wing ding,
yeah, I'm
we
like,
figured that
Tom,
out.
like,
these are all like national companies that
national
everybody knows
companies.
that you knew. And
Purina.
yeah, Purina. That's
I'm
it.
like,
Yeah.
Budweiser and
Budweiser at like Panera Bread, St. Louis
Which
Coast.
we
Sorry.
call
Louis
Bread
Bread Co.
Co.
Chill,
St.
cut the
Louis
mic.
Bread Co. Get it right, Malik.
We'll cut it
You
there.
live here now, okay? Bread Co.
But it's all of this cool stuff that, you know, St. Louis has that's like, wow, you know?
And I think since you're not from here, you're open to learning more because you're like a student again. So I feel like that gives you an advantage because
Right.
like you're like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go over there and interview that person.
Right.
That somebody might have interviewed him a long time ago, maybe doesn't have a great It's all like a relationship business. You're just like
Exactly.
open, like, and like I've texted you like, hey, go see Jeff and Mary Clark over there.
Right.
And
That was,
it
they're
finally
cool people.
ended up, they were on the podcast too. So it's like
Nice.
That
it
was a
finally
good
happened,
one.
but this was like 6 months later. But at least we
Right.
just planted the seed.
Exactly.
You know, because you would have never known. They're
Never
they're
known.
low key. They're not really St. Louis. They're
And
more
when-
globally.
I actually shouted you guys out when I went and met them.
I saw that segment.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you texted me and told me about them. I think I followed them or DM'd them a while back.
Yeah.
I don't think they messaged me back. This is why I don't shoot my shot because I'm like, I just
Let people message you and then
Yeah,
pick
when-
and choose.
just let it happen. So yeah, I messaged them when you text me a while back. They ended up messaging me like a little while, you know, like this was just a few weeks, a month ago or however long, and they were like, yeah, we want to do it. I'm like, oh, like cool.
Right.
So when I met them, I was like, yeah, you know, like, you know, you guys put me on, you know, and their PR like reached out and everything and got everything situated. But yeah, they're great people.
Yeah, they
Super cool
are.
people. For them to have the platform that they have, they're very humble.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're so down to earth
And
and,
I
loving.
love their
and
location too.
Mm-hmm.
Their studio with their crib on top.
Right.
Is so
They're
sick.
just,
Right.
they have good
I didn't get the crib
energy.
access, but
It's fire though. It's
Yeah.
that's like the goal is like an entrepreneur is like you want like, you know, a home, you want a local feel. Like
Right.
you want neighbors that you love and like you want, that's what
Right.
everybody wants when you buy a house or when you build a business and all
Mhm.
that. So, but yeah, shout out Jeff and Mary Tribute's coming up. You got to get tickets to that. That's their fashion show
For
in
sure,
November.
For
yeah.
our
That's during your
birthday.
birthday.
They
For our
kept-
birthday,
they
because I
kept
go for
talking-
my
yeah.
birthday every year. And
All right,
it's
listen, I'm gonna
November
get some tickets.
19th,
We'll get you
so
some.
let's
I'm
celebrate
gonna
our
use Malik's name and be
birthdays.
like, yeah, I know Malik. Can you get me some
They're
tickets?
gonna be like,
he's gonna
who?
use our name. And
They're gonna be like, who are you talking about?
Look at those
And then he's gonna use our
Like,
name.
oh, the guy we met. That means nothing.
Or if you want,
They're like, we were on ABC Nightline.
right?
or if you want the loft access, you got to go do dinner at the loft, which is upstairs.
Ooh.
There's
Private dinner.
Their son Elliot,
loft,
who's
the
one of our
loft.
good friends,
I'll send you
does
that. It's
private
dinner at the loft
dinners,
is what it's called. They do stuff
So-
at One Cardinal
like
Way.
3-course, 5-course meals.
Okay,
It's-
so Jeff, he like a few days after I did the interview with them, he had messaged me and told me that his son was having some event that weekend and was telling me how he's a chef and all that
Yeah.
stuff. That's
Same
cool.
thing.
What is that?
That is
Same
cool.
thing.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
And they're the real deal too. I don't want to keep talking too long, but they're the real deal. I've talked to some people who have been associated with them closely.
Mhm.
And one of the things I complimented them on was, you know, you guys are very nice, cool people. And so I asked, you know, some people, like, it was just so happened to be that they were a part of, you know, their whole thing. It's like, are they really like that? You know, because some people put on a front, especially when you're on TV and when you're doing something for them.
Right.
They're like, no, they're genuinely good people. So
Yeah.
shout out to them.
Yeah, and most
Yeah.
people are. Everybody you meet in St. Louis, even like
Right.
the biggest, wealthiest person, like they have this big front, but once you have lunch with them or once you do a segment with them, then they're your friend. That's the
Right.
coolest thing about our jobs and your job is because we can literally just reach out if we want to talk to somebody. And
Right.
once you talk to somebody, people don't forget going
Exactly.
on the news. Like I don't forget going on the news. They don't
Right.
you're not going to forget coming on a podcast.
Right.
You know, like you're like, oh, that even if it's somebody like crazy big. Like it might be a Cardinals player, or, you know, somebody like Albert. Like if Albert Pujols come on here, I mean,
still gonna remember it.
Yeah.
Now that's ooh-wee.
Fingers crossed.
That can happen though. It can happen.
And it can happen.
And listen, and not downplaying it at all, but I mean, he's on his retirement tour, so it's like he's gonna be around doing nothing here in the next,
Hit us up.
and he's gonna miss that attention he's getting right now. Even as humble as he is,
It might be a year until he comes back out, but he's gonna be here.
Yeah.
You
the
know,
attention he's getting right now, people miss that. I know he's humble, but
right?
like,
Oh, for
you
sure.
know, when you're an All-American athlete,
Yeah.
and then you go to North Dakota, you're like, I miss being.
I miss this.
Exactly.
Or you move
All
to
the girls
LA
call me,
where
or all the
you know
girls, yeah.
you move to LA and everybody's a superstar.
Yeah.
You move back to St. Louis where you know superstars are few and far between.
Yeah.
Right.
You get a different type of free dinners every night, you know, versus you're still going to pay this $500 tab.
Yeah.
It's cool that you're pool halls, but
Yeah. Yeah, we got
just
Michael
had-
B. Jordan over there.
Right.
We got Samuel L. Jackson.
go
over
join the crowd.
there. No, I swear. That's what's cool about St. Louis is like once you make it here, people will take care of you and you're kind of, you know, has that path. So we hope you stay
Right.
in St. Louis, but I know
For
you
sure.
got bigger goals and bigger dreams. So
St. Louis is big, man.
Yeah, it is big.
St. Louis. I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, but there's
We'll be watching you take
for
off.
sure.
yeah. So we'll drop
you guys
everybody.
as
If you
well.
do you want to tell people where to follow you at or anything like that, or where to support if they have stories or anything like that, or just follow you on social?
Instagram is Malik Wilson TV, MalikWilson TV. Twitter is Malik Wilson _, spelled the same way. And then Facebook is Malik Wilson.
Nice.
Perfect.
Well, we'll tap in with that, guys. But thank you again for tuning in to another show another show.
getting
The camera will be
messy.
on us. You're good, bro.
I'm like,
It'll be on us. It'll be on us. You're good, bro. No worries. We ain't gonna do you like that.
nah, it's
I
all
had a
good.
coughing spiel earlier. We're a mess.
I saw you looking back there like mute.
Yeah.
Goodbye. It's a so.
Push it away.
But thank you guys for tuning in to another episode here at Half Coast Studios. Thank you to our partners over at Four Hands Brewery, Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis, Snoot Glass, Half Coast Studios, and Show Me St. Louis's own Malik Wilson, guys.
Thank you guys for having me, man. This
Yeah,
is fun.
thank you for coming in, man.
You're
Appreciate
great.
you.
STL bucket list.
Yes, sir.
Shout out. Yeah.
We out.